Yo, welcome back to K4Wins.com show. Of course, we do our show every Tuesday and Friday morning right here on the wonderful digital network through Coastal. We love those fine folks, and thanks to Duncan Dad helping us get on today. Of course, also on Tony Kurre Radio, the TKR app. 4 years strong, hundreds of thousands of folks. So listen to that bad boy every single week. We got 19 different podcasts, and of course, this is one of them right here. He is Kai Gregory down there in the lower left-hand corner. Has been handicapping, been on both sides of the betting ledger for about 35 years. He knows what he's doing. Of course, Case Keefer is right there in Las Vegas. He is the chief editor for the Las Vegas Sun and also the beat writer for those Las Vegas Raiders. An interesting game this weekend. We'll get to that. I know we got some NFL action to get into, boys, and also week 2 of college football. And I'll start with you, Case. I'm kind of glad because there are 7 top 25 teams playing SCS games. Which should tell you something about the schedule. I don't know if they set the schedule up because the NFL starts this weekend, but if you ask me, they certainly look like they're not playing any big ball games week 2 because the National Football League is starting on Sunday, and that's where everyone's attention is.
Yeah, that's smart. Actually, I don't have any insight. I don't know if that was the impetus for the weaker week 2 schedule, but it would be. I, I hope this is the norm going forward. I really do think it's smart to front load that week 1 with the a bunch of huge games like we saw last week, and then everyone kind of bows down to the NFL this week. It seems like obviously no Thursday games, so it makes sense to me that this one is a little bit more of a slate for the hardos that are following all these teams anyway, and not so much. You want to come in with a bang, and this week is a little bit of a step back, but still plenty to bet on, plenty of intriguing games. They're going to have a lot, so I like the setup.
Only one top 25 matchup this weekend, of course, Michigan and Oklahoma. You say Michigan, Oklahoma, it's just kind of strange. It's kind of weird, but it's a great game. So we're looking forward to that. I think it's up by 5.5. And of course, we got a game going on later on tonight with Kansas City and the Chargers. By the way, Mahomes 19-4 in September, and they have won Kansas City the last 12 against the Chargers. If you're looking for that little, I wonder who I should play tonight. Kansas City seems to get it done, but it's always a one-score game. We'll see if they can pull that number out a little bit later on tonight. Kai, I know you had some things going on. We posted the over last night in that game. I liked the under, but I did not call it in, and it's easy. It's hindsight being 2020. And, man, when they scored the first 8 possessions of that game, I was like, thank the Lord I didn't play the over, and then they put a 3 spot up in the second half. What the hell happened in that football game last night? And if you're a Cowboy fan, you were happy because you were inside the number all night.
Well, we did. We hammered, but we also had the first half over, which hit easily. And I wish I'd reached out to Case at halftime because I would love to know the what in the hell Vegas was thinking with a 24.5 point total, which just told everybody to bet under in the second half, and then 14.5 for Philly, 10.5 for Dallas on team totals. I will tell you, everybody that may or may not play that I know or plays with me just hammered under all night long at halftime. I thought it was, when I saw that, I went and bet it all because I was like, okay, this is obvious. And then the lightning, God stepped in and gave the lightning delay. Then we have a fumble. Then we have CeeDee Lamb can't catch. It's like, wow. I thought I was going to be that guy we talk about in the National Fixed League.
Case?
Yeah, it was pretty frustrating. It wasn't a good game for me. I did okay props wise to make it not a complete disaster, but I had both Philadelphia minus 6.5, and I think I talked about on this show months ago when the schedule came out. Then I liked over 47. Both those prices closed great. I think it closed 8.5, and 48.5. And I don't know. I don't like to complain too much, but I think it goes over without the lightning delay. It just seemed like that really. That really screwed up a whole lot, and I agree with what a lot Kai said. The Eagles really got away with one there. They were really fortunate. Something we've talked about on the show. I know. I said I was a little down on the Eagles compared to market. Just they lost a lot of guys on defense that I think are being glossed over, like half their starters. They kind of have a problem at their number 2 cornerback spot. And then, of course, on top of it, they lose Jalen Carter in the first 6 seconds last night. I really thought Dallas probably deserved to win that game if CD could just haul in one of those catches. Luckily, I had some teaser stuff on Philadelphia, too, so I'm happy they didn't. But Now, I didn't think it was a very strong showing for the Eagles in game one. I've heard so many people say that the NFC is just the Eagles and everyone else, and I kind of disagree with that. I mean, the Eagles are definitely in the mix, can get back there if this new defense settles in, but I think they're going to take a small step back, and I think last night was a sign of that, even though they ultimately did pull out the win.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So if the over-under for the game is 48, we can just assume that a second half bet would be 24, not having played a snap, right? And so I can almost tell you that when you're having a game that looks like it's going to go over, that line may be a little higher, 24 and a half, which is what it was last night. If it's 10-7 last night, that over-under is probably 23 and a half, probably in the second half, just because it's trending that way. It's no matter what a team looks like. You think, okay, we gotten 30 minutes to look at these teams. I should know exactly what's going to happen in the second half. Of course, the National Football League, there's a tale of two halves all the time. But for the most part, you split it in half, and it's pretty close, is it not? Almost every single time, regardless of what's happening in the first half, unless it's 0-0 or it's 39-38.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think it's always going to be in that range. I wasn't too plugged in to the live lines or the halftime lines. I was out somewhere watching a game, but obviously you notice one box is empty. It's because Kip's on his way here. I have a lot of family in town, so usually if I'm betting halftimes, I want to be I want to be at the battle station ready to look. So I didn't even think about the second half line until Kai mentioned it right now. But I think usually that's a good starting point. You slice it in half and then kind of go based on what you saw in the in the first half where you want to shade it. I don't know if they were talking about the weather, or if they knew the weather was coming up. I think that definitely would have been one thing to lead people to the under. So maybe that was a smart bet, with apologies to Kai, because it seems like he took a bath there, unfortunately. But I think generally you have the right idea.
Now
Vegas knows what they're doing. So and so that's what I'm saying. If they wanted an under bet, then 24 and a half. I mean, if they wanted an over bet, then 24 and a half was not the number to get an under bet on, in my opinion. If anybody was paying attention to that weather,
23 and a half probably would have flipped a lot of guys.
Absolutely, man. It's a key number of 24 that we talk about. And I think that's one of the big things that when people are listening, to listen to Case talk about key numbers and the difference in the key numbers in NFL and college. And one of the things I got asked on email today is, hey, why don't you guys post halftime plays? Well, a lot of cappers out there do halftime plays that their clients never see. And they'll post that and they boast about their winning record on a day when they gave out 5 games that lost, early, but then they happen to hit 4 halftime winners. And we don't do that because, in my opinion, it just screws the people that are listening to you, because they don't get those winners. And, man, you can fluff your numbers. We'll give out first half and totals, but we don't give out halftime plays.
A ton of great games this weekend. Every weekend's a ton of great games. There may not be too many marquee matchups. And, of course, this is the first weekend for the National Football League, so we're going to be all over. We'll do the first half of the college, second half on the National Football League. And, of course, we'll also get the inside scoop on those Las Vegas Raiders, since we're talking to the beat writer who knows everything about them. We do have some games later on tonight. I already threw my picks to Kai earlier this morning, and that James Madison game looks really interesting to me. Maybe only because I know Kip was really on Jeff Brom, and he is picking the Louisville Cardinals as perhaps one of his playoff teams going in this year. And all of a sudden, they're only giving up 14 and a half or 15 to a James Madison squad, Duke squad, that quite frankly I hadn't heard a whole lot about. Cards. Miller Moss had a couple of picks last week. Maybe that's why that game is a little bit. What are you seeing in Vegas on this James Madison score? It's one of those games, one of those FCS games.
I'm on. JMU moved up. They've been FBS the last few years. I actually have a bet on them to make the playoff this year at 15-1. I really think they're one of the premier group of 5 teams. I bet them early in the week at plus 15 in this game. Just a standard bet, nothing too crazy. I'm just really high on this team. I think they were the best team in the Sun Belt last year. They had some tiebreaker things not go their way. Ultimately didn't get to the championship game, but they would have been favored against anyone they would have played in the championship game. Definitely Marshall, who ultimately ended up winning it. So I think they're coming into this year with a purpose, a lot back. It's Bob Chesney's second year from Holy Cross. He brought in his old quarterback, who we talked about a lot last year on the show, Matthew Sluka, who was at UNLV, but he's not even starting. They've gone with Alonzo Barrett, the kid who led them to such success last year. I just really see a realistic path to them getting the group of 5 playoff spot. If you remember, I was kind of down on Boise, so I wanted to take some shots on teams that I thought were going to win. these other conferences. And I think JMU, to me, I think there's still probably value on them to win the Sun Belt. I made it like closer to 50-50. I think they're probably like still like plus 275, plus 300. And if they have any realistic shot, part of the reason I made that playoff bet is this 2-week stretch right here. They get a really good shot to go to a strong program. Louisville, who I also like. I'm with Kip. I like Jeff Brom, and I think Miller Moss, it's a good landing spot for him. They go to Louisville this week, and then they have Liberty next week, who, of course, is always in the Group of Five conversation, Conference USA favorite. So I really think this is a huge week, huge 2-week stretch for JMU. I haven't seen any information that anyone's hurt or anything, so I really thought they'd have an inspired performance tonight. I'm a little surprised and a little alarmed that it seems all the money this morning is on Louisville. I was feeling good early in the week when I'm in that plus 15 bet. It dipped all the way to like mostly 13s here. I think last time I checked the lines yesterday morning. I usually try to get a rundown of where all the point spreads are every morning. Then I looked this morning and the Louisville money's flowing in, which again, I like Louisville too, so I wouldn't be shocked, but I just feel like I'm very high on JMU. So still tonight, if I had to make a bet, I would take the points.
Alonzo Barrett just threw for $130 last week, but they really didn't have to throw the ball any more than that in order to get the victory. And of course, it's always one of those games where you just better be looking out because James Madison's an up and comer for sure. Of course, they won their first ball game at the Barrel 1-0 going out later on tonight. Also, a couple of other college games tonight since we are doing this show here on a Friday. We got Maryland, Northern Illinois. I hedge towards the over in that football game, and I'll tell you why in just a few seconds. Any other games you guys like going off tonight, right at the beginning of the show, in case some people are watching and can't watch the whole thing?
I do like that over in the Louisville game, especially now that it's dropped 2 points to 55.5, because I think James Madison will put some points up. I agree. I like them. I don't think their defense is as strong as it was last year, and even the same with Louisville. I just, Maryland, the Northern Illinois Maryland game, we were against Maryland last week on FAU, and they just came out and opened up a can on FAU. And Maryland's dropped from 18 to 16.5, and it's kind of a number that I almost like with Maryland, but that total is only 46 because they just don't expect Northern Illinois to score any points in that game.
Yeah.
Those are the two plays I kind of like right now.
Listen, they just got by Holy Cross in week 1, too. They won 19-17, Northern Illinois. This is not the same team that knocked off a number 5 team in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish last year. I'm sorry. You can look at that game all you want, but they won't ever do it again as a MAC squad. But, yeah, that's where I'm kind of leaning just a little bit because I think Maryland, along with Malik Washington, can probably sling the football a little bit. And I think they can put some points up. And if they can put up a 30 spot, I think it goes over that. But anytime I see a game like the Iowa State game, by the way, the Iowa State, and I if you just pull up like college football best bets and you just roll through it, everyone in the world is trying to get everyone to bet the over 41 in that Iowa State game. I don't know why. I was like, you bet it first. No, you bet it first. No, you bet it first. You bet it first. What is it? 15 of the last 17 games, I think, have gone under. I think only once in the last 20 games, both teams scored 20-plus points. It's just one of those games where every single time I think of the under's gone 6 straight in that game. In the last 3 games, it was 36.5, 38.5, and 39.5. This week, it's 41.5 in Iowa State. So there's some funky lines out there. But, yeah, everyone's wanting me to play this Iowa State game. I'm like, why? Why would I want to do that? I'd rather go ahead and pad it up on a Friday night and just watch that turn because it is going to be a bad one for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like a running gag thing just because these games are kind of they're always kind of exciting as they come down to the end, but they're usually like 13-6 or 9-6 or whatever. So, I mean, this year, both offenses, there's kind of reason to be excited about, although I think I like Rocco Becht, but I think he's almost getting overrated at this point. People have like a top 10 quarterback. I mean, that Kansas State game, he was like 14 for 31. And granted, he made the gigantic plays when they needed him, converted the 4th downs when Kansas State didn't. But I feel like stock's kind of gone too high on him. But I am really high on Iowa's quarterback, Gronowski, who got a lot of NIL buzz. There were a lot of guys that wanted to land him. They were excited that they did. I don't feel like they showed much last week against Albany. So I know we're opposite of this one, and the market, someone said they liked Iowa State, and the market agrees with whoever liked Iowa State, but I'm on Iowa in this one. I don't have a thought on the total, but I probably would have to lean under, if anything, just because of how these teams play. But if it's going to be under, then 3.5 is pretty valuable. If it's another 13-10 game, give me the 3.5 all day. yeah, the other game, Maryland, I have nothing on tonight. Unfortunately, I was very impressed. You named Malik Washington. I think there were two freshman quarterbacks that I didn't see coming that were incredible in week one, and I think Malik Washington was number two, and number one, not even going to try to pronounce his name, but the Cal kid. I don't know if you guys saw, was just like out of this world. It looks like he's going to fetch some money in the offseason. I don't think he's going to be at Cal for long. I think one of these programs in the SEC or the Big Ten is going to scoop him up. So those are two teams that not 100% am I totally bumping up or readjusting my expectations, but I think both Maryland and Cal look like they have someone potentially special to work with at the quarterback position that's super young.
By the way, Penn State favored by 42.5 this weekend. It's the first time since 1997 that a team has been favored over two FBS squads by 40-plus points in the first 2 weeks of a college football season. The last time that happened was Nebraska back in 1997. So all the money's going on Penn State. Everyone believes in based on who they're playing. Obviously, it looks like they may get themselves a cover there against Florida International, who, by the way, is 1-0 on the season. All right. Let's go around the horn. Let's start with you, Kai, and certainly we can drop in some thoughts and things. We've always done our 3 games or 2 games or whatever we do on the starting lineup, so we can certainly make part of those. But give me some of your best bets, Kai, for Saturday. If you got some stuff tonight, we already gave some of those plays, but any other plays that really piquing your interest for a full Saturday, and then we'll get to the NFL.
I'm going to be interested to see what Clemson does, especially with this line dropping now to 30.5. I mean, down below 31, I really think, I know LSU scored 17 on them, but are we really thinking that the offense that they're going to see this weekend is going to be anything close to that? I can see, and I think Clemson's going to put up a lot of points. It's 2:30 game, so they won't have their 11 o'clock hangover in Clemson that I talk about. So I really do like Clemson in this situation. I've been leaning on a lot of games. I am just not sold because I also think Troy sucks. Just for the record, I think they're horrible. I'm not sold on a lot of games. I'm leaning towards the over in the Texas State UTSA game. Seeing what UTSA did against Texas A&M, putting up some points, I was kind of impressed with, liking that. But there's not a bunch that I want to jump on, outside of Clemson. I do like UNLV. I may be in the small realm there, but I just think UCLA is a dumpster fire already after 1 week. And I know you make your best. You're supposed to make your most improvements from week 1 to week 2. But I think that, and then I also, even though it's Charlotte, I can't believe North Carolina is giving 13.5 points to any team in America.
Yeah, and that whole Bill Belichick thing, not allowing the Pats squad to come on and watch, it was like, what are we doing here? I mean, talk about distractions. That was just plain weird. You also, earlier in the week, you had Illinois. I thought that was an interesting game, too, just because we call them smelly fishes. I used to Tony Curry smelly fish of the week. Why is a team that's almost knocking on the top 10, knocking on the door of the top 10, only giving up 3 to the Dukes? I know it's on the road, but is the Fighting Illini, are they that good, Case?
I didn't play this game. I would lean Duke. Duke spent a lot of money this offseason. I don't think people have talked about it much. I think I saw something, Darian Mensah, they gave like $3.5 million, their new quarterback. And last year, I feel like they got pretty lucky to be bowl eligible in Manny Diaz's first year, but the roster was pretty slim. And it just seems like, I don't know where they got the money to allocate so much to football along with basketball, but it seems like they paid up and the roster's really gotten a big boost this offseason. So I think I made this right on the number. It's not something I feel super great about, but I think it'll be a pretty good atmosphere. Always tough first road game, so I could see Duke winning. I would say Illinois outright. I would lean slightly, but especially if I can get the hook, I'd probably slightly be on Duke.
All right, several games that I was looking at, and I even put them up on the game. I was a stellar 3-0 there on the starting lineup this past weekend, so I'm going to toot my own horn whenever I get a chance because it just doesn't happen very often. So I'm going to take that. I like another 3-0 here. I think the Sandman's going to be blowing the doors off. I like watching a team. I love going against a team 1 week and then the following week getting a chance to hop on board. I almost feel like I'm saying it's okay. I went against you, but I love you. I love you, and I want to bet on you. I want to make some money off you. I'll do that with the Hokies catching 1.5, went up to 2.5, back down to 1.5 against Vanderbilt. Of course, Vanderbilt's living off this season last year where they knocked off everybody. They were an AP 25 team. And, of course, Vatek was one of the teams they beat. So you got the revenge factor there. Kyron Drone was wildly inaccurate in the first half. He settled down a little bit in the second half. this past week, but I think that's just the jitters. I think he came out. I think he was slinging the football all over the place for Vatek. But I firmly believe, and I think they got down a little early in an ugly South Carolina game. It got muddy really, really quick, and I think they played a pretty good ball game. So I
They're
like them to
favored.
get home. Huh?
Virginia Tech's favored by 2.
There
Not
you go.
Tech, 2. They're favored.
Okay. And I had him plus 1.5, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll take Vatek minus 1.5, whatever it was. I'll take it. Just thank you for letting me know that. I'm also going against a team. I didn't have any money on the Baylor Auburn game last week. Auburn wins by 14. But I do like the Sawyer Robertson kid with Baylor. Got a chance to kind of look at some tape on him when I was looking at the Baylor and the Auburn game this past week. I'm going to take Baylor. I got it right now +3 against SMU. They are on the road. I think they bounce back. I think they got down early against Auburn. I think 17-3. They give up a 98-yard touchdown. They threw a couple of inopportune picks. I think Baylor's a better football team than that. And then, I saw several, and I could not believe that more people were picking on this, but I had to pick which one I wanted to go with. Do I want to go with Navy minus 21.5? They've beaten UAB the last 2 games by an average of 27 points. They've averaged 38 points per ball game. Navy's looked better now than they had 23 and 24. Or do I want to take the over 58 all day long? And I'm going to take the over 58 only because I think they're going to move the football. I think this team is one of only 2 teams that put up 50 points and over 500 yards, and Navy was the other one that do that in the AAC. So I don't think this is going to be a 65-64 ball game, but I do think that Navy's going to be able to put up an easy 30-35 spot because they do it against UAB. They rushed for 464 yards last week. Everyone knows what they're going to do, and UAB can't stop them. They just gave up 42 points and 520 yards to an FCS squad. So, I can only imagine what they're going to be doing. So I'm going to take the over. And ever since last year, I don't know if we got on with Blake Horvath, man. I just think he's a fun guy to watch. I know he's going to run the football. He's a tough son of a bitch. And I love watching him run the football. So I think he's going to have some good things. The only thing that I want to play too is they've replaced their entire secondary. Navy has, and the UAB at least can sling the football a little bit. I think Kitten has got the pedigree to get that done. So I'm going to take the over 58 in that ball game. So those are 3 games I'm going to be taking right now. Case, what's popping out to you right now?
Yeah, well, I have strong thoughts on 2 of the games you mentioned, so I'll start there. One of my bigger bets of the week is we are in agreement. I took Virginia Tech pick 'em. Now it's still 2, 1.5, whatever. I think it's fine until it gets to 3. That movement doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. I know the Hokies offense looked pretty rough against South Carolina, but I think there were reasons to be enthused about their performance too. Defensively, I thought they looked much better. I'm kind of down on Vanderbilt this year. Just look at the flip. Last year, this game was at Vanderbilt, right? Virginia Tech came in like a 14.5 point favorite. Everyone was picking them. I remember I was on Vanderbilt that game. Now we have a 12.5 point, 12.5 point with the game in Blacksburg. So I like Virginia Tech there. And I'm happy you land on the over in UAB and Navy because I did not confer with you guys before this because I don't want you to talk me out of it or whatever. But I actually really like UAB this week. I'm on UAB plus 21.5. The 21's a little sketchy. I know they could get blown out. I really like these spots in week 2 where people overreact to an FCS game. And yes, it was terrible. I get it. But a lot of times from covering college football for a while, I think I learned a lot of times when you have one of these opponents in like week 1, it's not like the coaches are telling the guys, oh, overlook this game. We're not going to pay attention to it. But a lot of times you're already like sneaking stuff into practice, looking for the week 2 opponent, getting ready for the conference. I feel like they had all their eyes on Navy going into this. Trent Dilfer, the hire, and you guys are way closer locked into the program, so you can tell me if I'm out of line here. I'm just looking at it from the national perspective and the college football voices I kind of follow. Everything Trent Dilfer's ever done has been completely panned. People hated the hire. People don't think he's done a good job, even though he had the 1 year. I've never heard anything positive said about the guy until this offseason. The hiring of Steve Russ as defensive coordinator, a lot of college football people are saying this is sharp. This was a good hire. Obviously, we didn't see it in week 1, but if there's any time where he's going to help, isn't it going to be against another service academy?
Absolutely.
He was just an Air Force forever. So I'm not saying I expect UAB to win or anything, but at 21.5, and I still see there is a little bit of 21.5 out there. I just thought that was too high, and I love Horvath too. I agreed with everything you said, but I'm glad you landed on the over because I am on the opposite side there. I like UAB at the big number. I think it's kind of a good spot. And speaking of those overreactions to week 1, maybe this will all blow up in my face, but I'm actually opposite of one that Kai said. I've lovingly laid the 13 with North Carolina. I think Charlotte. I watched a lot of that App State game. I think they are just awful. I think they're one of like the 3 worst teams in FBS. And I actually, I mean, I get that we got to give Belichick some crap for how bad they looked in Week 1 and everything, but I think what's being overlooked in all this is I think TCU is a Big 12 contender. I think TCU is really good, and it's like we've kind of just fallen off that they weren't playing. I don't feel like they were playing like a middle of the road team. I think TCU is one of the better teams in power conference football. So I think now that they'll get away from it. I think they probably found their quarterback. I haven't looked into this, but I would assume Max Johnson's going to start over Gio Lopez. I think he works way better in like this pro style system. So I think North Carolina bounces back. I'd be pretty shocked if they lost to Charlotte.
I did not say I was going to bet Charlotte.
Yeah.
I said North Carolina has no business giving any team 13 points
on the road, no less.
And I will say this, I want to get you guys' take. I'm going to take Tony's spot here and get you guys' take. Purdue last week, 31-0 over Ball State, and now they're going to Auburn, getting 43 points. How much better is Auburn than Purdue is my question. Because is this not a blowout game?
Well, they're favored by 42, so yes.
43. I'm just saying, it's another local team. We haven't even talked about Alabama either, with good reason, I think. And I think they're 37. But Auburn, when's the last time we even thought about we would talk about Auburn giving up 43 to somebody?
It's been a while, and I think this is by far the highest point spread we've seen in the Hugh Freeze time. I don't know. This just looks like one of those games where I'm going to lay back and just let it go. I don't like playing lines that are that big because obviously there's a reason why it's that large, and it seems like weird things can happen at the end of ball games, particularly those back doors. So, but I wouldn't lay any money on Auburn right now because I don't know what the program is. I really don't. I mean, I thought they looked impressive. I didn't have a play on it. I would have played Baylor this first week, but I didn't. They got out of the box quick, and that's something that Auburn has not done in the Hugh Freeze era, and that is get out early in ball games. They have allowed teams to play with them throughout the entire 60 minutes. And man, if they get outside the box and get 17-3, it changes the way you have to play. I
haven't seen the first half team totals of the first half lines. But right now, I mean, if I could get Auburn or Alabama to score, if it's not over 28 in the first half, which I don't know, I think it'll be 27.5 or something, I would have to go over their team total. And if Auburn's minus 28 in the first half and Alabama's minus 24, 25, something like that, I'd have to lay that also.
Interesting, too, that La Monroe, of course, their head coach is Brian Vincent, who, of course, is the former UAB head coach that didn't get the job at UAB, that was given to Trent Dilfer. So not to say that he's trying to win one for the state or anything, but I thought that was kind of interesting as well. And, of course, that La Monroe game was also that first big dumber for one Nick Saban in year one back in the mid-2000s when, of course, he lost. I never forget, I had a friend of mine who got married on that day. He got married because Alabama was playing La Monroe and didn't think anyone was going to miss the ball game, right? And then when I came and told him, I said, by the way, La Monroe just knocked off Alabama. Everyone, first of all, was calling for Nick Saban's head, which was hysterical. And second of all, his marriage lasted 6 months. He's like, I knew it. I Shoyana got married, and if La Monroe beats Alabama on my wedding day, this marriage is not going to last. And sure enough, 6 months later, they're getting divorced. So for whatever the reason is. Couple other games I wanted to get into, too. Ole Miss, Kentucky. Everyone's talking about the revenge factor. Kentucky gets the better of Lane Kiffin last year. This line is about 10.5, 10, 11. 4 straight meetings decided by a total of 10 points. Whenever these two teams get together, man, it is a slobber knocker. It is a close ball game. Is this a chance for Lane Kiffin to blow the doors off Kentucky and get the revenge, Case?
I think so. I'm on Ole Miss -9. This is another one that's moved back the other way, though. I think it was up 10.5 yesterday, and Kip, who's not here, chimed in that he liked Kentucky plus 10.5, which shocked me. So we know he's a Kentucky hater.
Yeah, and he's an anti-Stoops guy too, man. I mean, he is not like it. I was like, "What? You're taking Kentucky?" I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, so based on the market, he's on to something. I'm not a guy that leans on the whole revenge angle very much, and you guys can call me out on this. I'll give myself like 3 times a year. I don't think it usually matters, but I don't know. This is one case where I just feel like Kiffin will want to lay it on. I think they came in a little bit arrogant last year, that didn't take them seriously. There's just no way, in my opinion, that they're going to sleepwalk through this game after it's what ultimately kept them out of the playoffs. Obviously looked good last week. It's just Georgia State. A little bit tough first road game, but I don't know. I mean, Simmons looked pretty good. They still have so much firepower and I'm down on Kentucky. I rated Kentucky the worst team in the SEC, which I think was a little. Most people probably had them a little bit higher than that, and they. I was on them last week -7.5, and luckily I got it at that number because when I'm always pounding about numbers, these are the scenarios where it matters. Because I think I said by the time of the show when it was 10, there's no way I'm laying it. I don't even think I deserve to cover the 7.5. They weren't very good. I think they had like 2 big plays against Toledo, but Calzada looked like he was really struggling, like we expected. I think the bottom is really low for this Kentucky team. So I openly laid it with Ole Miss, but money's coming the other way, and Kip is on the other side with Kentucky.
I think the only times revenges work is when a team's favored by 30 or 35 and they have a chance to air it out and they're up by 40 at the end of the game and they just want to go ahead and stick it down your throat. And by then it's already over. I don't, whenever there's a revenge feel and it's a 7 to 10 point ball game, I'm like, be careful there because it normally plays out. There's a reason why, for whatever reason, these games are always super close. Kai, your thoughts on it?
I agree. I can see if it's a 7-point game, Kiffin trying to stick one in the end zone late. I think the reason Kip likes Kentucky in that is because he thinks they're going to have an advantage up front in the trenches, which I do think they'll have an advantage up front because we talked about it Tuesday. Stoops is get in there. He loves that 24-16 close game they had last week. He felt comfortable. He does not want a game in the 40s. If that game's in the 40s, then that means Ole Miss is blowing them out. And Kiffin is the high flying, yay, rah rah guy. He's not as worried about the trenches, in my opinion.
Yeah, one other game we got to mention is the top 25 matchup, and then of course being Oklahoma and Michigan. Okay, so where's the money going on that game? It's sitting there. I always think it's interesting when you have those 4, 5, 6 point games. It's been hovering around the 5.5 point line kind of thing, which kind of tells me people really don't know which direction to go because the number doesn't mean a whole lot. But top 25 matchup, Oklahoma and Michigan. Who you like?
I kind of my feelings kind of go with the betting market on this. I think I talked about on Tuesday. Oklahoma opened really low, and if you would have asked me 5 days ago, I absolutely loved Oklahoma in this game. I bet I only could get a little bit of -3, a little bit of a short money line. It got all the way up to like 6.5. I thought it was going to touch 7. Then someone released it back the other way, and we've seen steady money on Michigan ever since. Now it's settling at 5. I still would have to lean Oklahoma there. But I mean, if you would, like I said, if you asked me 5 days ago, this might have been my most confident prediction. When I went back and looked at all the teams right before the season, like a week ago, Oklahoma just really popped for me. Some more projections that I like to look at came out. Were really high on Oklahoma. I just think the reports about Mateer have been so strong. Defensively, they've always kind of been solid under Venables. It's an offense they haven't been able to figure out. And I just think they have all the pieces to do it this year. That being said, Michigan, long term, I'd like to long term. I'd like to buy into Michigan because I think Bryce Underwood looks like the real deal. I mean, the kid just turned 18. He already looks like an NFL body. They paid like $5 million for him or whatever. I just feel like this might be a little too soon. The Michigan weapons are way down. They're still good defensively. I think they have the quarterback, even though he's only 18 years old. I think it's just tough to ask him to go into this venue and win in his first road game. So I'd still lean Oklahoma -5, but it's not quite as strong as it would have been Tuesday. This might have been the first game I mentioned if you told me what was your favorite bet.
Let's get into the National Football League. Dun, 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 dun. Of course, last night we had the Philadelphia Eagles defending champions. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, plus 7.5, 8, whatever you had, you're pretty happy because you were in the game the whole time. If you're just a Dallas Cowboys fan, and that was a game that got away from you, you probably should have had that thanks to CD Lamb and the drop, the second of his 3 drops that was right in his breadbasket down there around the 23-yard line. But some nice matchups. We've got KC and, of course, the Chargers going on later on tonight. You got the Steelers playing the Jets. Obviously, we know why that game's kind of fun. I got my Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm just like scratching my eyeballs out against the Browns. Normally, you want to play the Browns, and I'm just telling you it's going to be a close play. It'll be a 23-20 ball game, and it shouldn't be. So I'm going to jump on the Browns here, and I can't believe I'm doing that. And then, of course, you got the Monday Nighter coming up a little bit later on with the Vikings and the Bears. A great matchup. But look around the horn real quick, Kai. Anything sticking out to you right off the bat? And then we're going to get into some specifics, and I want to talk about the Raiders because we have the beat writer on the top.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I want to know why nobody's talking about Dak Prescott spitting first last night. If you go back and look at all that, Dak Prescott spit first. Why was he not tossed out of the game? Why are they not looking at that film now, reviewing and finding him? Jalen Carter gets tossed. I agree. It's tacky. You don't spit. That's horrible. I mean, guys, you sure don't spit on another guy. You don't spit in somebody's face. That's just like, that's one of the ultimate, just the ultimate.
Disrespectful. It's disrespectful, yeah. It's disrespectful.
Why is nobody talking about that?
They are talking about it, and Dak's idea is like, I spit on everybody. I spit on everything, and he does. I mean, it's just white stuff. I guess he's just one of those guys that's constantly, if you watch him, he constantly spits. He's constantly spitting. I won't even let my kids do it because I'm afraid they're going to walk in church one day and spit on the floor. I'm like, no, we're not emulating these guys. Yeah, but he's spitting out those little white beads of stuff. There's not even any saliva to it. It's one of those things that he does. And so he's like, I wasn't going to spit on my lineman. So he spit in the air and ended up hitting him first. So maybe that's why. Maybe it was obviously an intention.
Oh, yeah. I will say that, I played in a golf tournament yesterday, and one of the guys spit on the green when we were walking by. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? How are you going to spit on the green? I don't want to putt through that. Anyway, you mentioned Mahomes and the stuff for him. He's got an 82.6% win rate in September. And how about this? Chargers best record in the NFL versus spread last year, 13-4. So that's some information going in. Some Tony Curry useless stats. Another one, first time ever quarterbacks who started for opposing teams last year are facing each other in the opener with Pittsburgh and the Jets, which could be one of the most absolute boring games of the weekend. But loving watching.
I'm in. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm a Central guy, but I think the Tomlin Rodgers matchup is just really bizarre, particularly since the quarterback he had last season. And I think Tomlin's one of those guys that likes to work with some younger guys. Obviously, he's had 3 Hall of Fame guys and Ben Roethlisberger is his former quarterback. But I want to see what Aaron Rodgers gets. If he ends up going 10-13 tonight for $133 and they're running the hell of the football and they win 13-10, that's not the reason they spent all that money on Aaron Rodgers to come in. It's Super Bowl or bust for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I do want to see what he'll do against his former team of the Jets because they gave him a great deal. He gave them a raw deal. Remember the first snap and he bangs up his leg, and of course he's out for the entire season. So
he couldn't help that though.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say if it's Super Bowl or bust, then let's just write down bust right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers have less than 0% chance of making the Super Bowl. I mean,
it's good. Any other year, if this is 5 years ago, certainly a Super Bowl. But yeah, that matchup is just really strange. It was almost like, okay, it's your turn to take Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, who's going to take him next year? It's like no one wants him anymore, and this guy's 2 years removed from winning an MVP. For God's sakes, it's just weird. It's strange.
Do you know what team Tua has never faced as a starter? He's playing on Sunday. Colts. Yep, playing on Sunday. And how about the Colts are 2-12-1 opening weekend the last 15 years. What the hell does that have to do with Sunday? Absolutely nothing. Useless Tony Curry fact. Just wanted to throw it out there for you. Okay. I do think that I don't know. I'm a big Colts fan. I think Daniel Jones is probably going to have a lot of runs in that game. Seeing some things that will go well for them. Some other games, I bet the Washington Commanders team total every single game last year. And I don't think I'm going to do it. I think I'm backing off of that game versus the Giants. I've really been looking into the Giants pass rush and their defense, and I think their defense is probably going to play better, and maybe that's
their offense is horrible. I know. When I saw, I couldn't remember. It's 45 and a half. I was like, Washington, a total of 45 and a half. I'm all over that, and I realized they're playing the Giants.
I do like the Bengals, and I like their team total. And maybe I'm just going to get caught again with them. 1-11 the first 2 weeks of the season since 2019, since their new coach is what they are.
I'm going to say it right now. If the Bengals win this weekend, they'll make the playoffs. If they don't win this weekend, they will not make the playoffs for a third straight year. And I mean, they should make the playoffs. I don't care how bad that defense is. Offensively speaking, they're lights up. And Coach Zach's not one of my favorite coaches of all time. I wish Dick LeBeau was back, for God's sakes, for the defense. But I'm putting the entire season on game one. If they knock off, and I don't care how they do it. I don't care if it's 17-16 on a Lake McPherson kick, whatever it is. If they get a victory It's going to be something they haven't done in a long time. That is get a week 1 victory. I think they make the playoffs. I think it just changes the demeanor of that football team. If they lose, I think they're done. I'm throwing it in 16 games to go. I think the J.J. McCarthy thing is really interesting in Minnesota, a team that came off 14 victories, and obviously no one wanted to give their quarterback any respect for what he did with the Minnesota Vikings. He had to have had something to do with Sam Darnold. I know that was his 4th or 5th year into the season, and he was a hard trade to get rid of. And now you're bringing in a first-year guy, second-year guy, because he didn't play last year from Michigan. All of a sudden, they're supposed to be making the playoffs. I don't think so. I don't think it plays that way. I think that's going to be a really interesting ball game. And then I'm just because of the locale, I think that Buccaneers-Falcons game, 2 teams that I think obviously are trending in the right direction. I think it's going to be kind of an interesting ball game as well. Where's some of the big money moving case out in Las Vegas when it comes to the NFL this weekend?
Man, it seems like it's the theme of the week. There's been a lot of back and forth. It seems like none of these moves have really completely stuck. I guess in the last 24 hours or so, and I agree with this one. It does seem like the Rams have taken some money, and now they're even a juiced 3-point favorite. I've been anti-Rams all offseason. If you've listened to our show, saying that I don't think Stafford can hold up the full year and stuff, and I still believe that. But he's playing week 1. I think he should be okay for one game. The Texans' offensive line is just dreadful. I mean, I know they have a lot working for them elsewhere. They might have there's a chance they have the best defense in the NFL this year. Will Anderson's a guy I bet for Defensive Player of the Year at a longer price than now. But if Stafford's okay, which it seems like he is going to be at least for this game, I'm taking the under on him playing the whole year. But I kind of agree with that. If you could still get the Rams at 3, that's been a popular one lately. We've also seen Baltimore take some money in the game of all games, Baltimore at Buffalo on Sunday Night Football. It's great. I kind of wish we were waiting a little bit for this because this is like probably the 2 best teams. But I think Kai and I were in agreement. We've talked about this the last few weeks that we both think Baltimore is the team to beat and the best team. You could still get some pick 'em. I would lean Baltimore there. The one thing that concerns me about the Ravens long term, and I'm all in too. I have Ravens Super Bowl, Ravens AFC, Lamar Jackson MVP. The one thing that concerns me is they have just been so healthy the last 2 years. Usually this injury luck regresses. I mean, we've seen Lamar Jackson have injury problems earlier in his career. It's just like no one got hurt the last 2 years. So as much as I think on paper they're clearly the best team, the team to beat, I think they should break through this year. It just kind of is a gnawing at me that they're probably going to have to deal with some more guys being out than they have last 2 years because they've been remarkably healthy. But in week 1, it looks like that's the case again. I think they've gotten better, bringing in like Jair Alexander, some other guys on the defense. So I am on Baltimore there. 2 of my try to give out some stronger plays. You mentioned the Miami. I didn't know any of these useless stats, but I guess one technically goes with me. 2-12-1. You said the Colts in opening weekend. I really like the Dolphins in this game. I don't think the Colts are going to be very good with Daniel Jones. Everyone is just so down on the Dolphins. And I get it, but at the same time, I think it's just overboard. When these guys have been, speaking of health, when Tua has been out there, this offense has just been like dynamite. I mean, you can still put down Tua and say he gets too much love or he's not as good as his stats. That's fine, but he still has the same head coach who seems really in lockstep with him. Everyone's healthy. I know they're going to be bad defensively, but I mean, Daniel Jones, ever since even the ACL, I think 2 years ago, never throws downfield, just doesn't seem like the same guy. I don't know if he's really the guy to attack their weaknesses on the back end. So I don't know. I made Miami a clear favorite in this game. The fact that they're still pick surprises me. So I like Miami. Then the other game you talked about, I don't see enough separating the Jets and the Steelers that one team should be a 3-point underdog at home. So I can't stand the Jets for the year as a whole. I think Aaron Glenn is being way overrated. He just has these great sound clips that everyone buys into. I actually bet them most losses at 20-1. So it shows you how little I think of them, but I'm just not that high on the Steelers either. To be laying 3 points on the road in a game with the total of, I think the total's like 39, that just seemed too rich for me. So I like the Jets +3 as well.
I'm seeing 37.5 this morning on that ball game. It's interesting too. You got the Chiefs, you got the Steelers, you got the Bengals, you got the Bucks, you got the Cardinals. You got the Niners. These are all teams that are on the road and favored. What normally do you see early in the first couple of weeks, or does it change? I know everyone used to talk about the Monday night home dog. Does it change anything from week to week when you talk about that many home dogs to kick off the season?
It doesn't change a whole lot for me. You guys are slacking on your useless facts. This would have been out your area to find out how home dogs are doing. I'm just joking, but I do know anecdotally, I feel like home dogs have been pretty poor in the NFL the last couple years. That's not really souring me. It just I think that's the sides I've landed on. I like Atlanta in that game too. I think no one's talking about Tampa Bay is really beaten up. Tristan Wirfs, probably their best player. He's not playing. Godwin, of course, not going to be back at the start of the season. Jalen McMillan also hurt. So I know the training camp reports have made it sound like Emeka Ibuka is like Jerry Rice, and he might be. So maybe that kills me. But look, the Falcons beat the Buccaneers twice last year, and I think they're going to be better this year. I mean, that was with I think both those games were when Cousins was still starting, who can't move. I like the Falcons as a home underdog there, and I didn't even take the points. I took money line. I think I got plus 125. I don't have the money lines up. I don't know if that's still out there. So there are some home dogs I like this week. The Browns are not one of them. However, I've been Mr. Bingle. I've been with Tony on his team, and I laid it a little bit with the Bengals. Not one of my stronger plays, but yeah, I like the Bengals. Another home underdog I like, and no one's going to want to play this one, but I feel like the NFL, all these guys are pros. We never really know. There's cases you can make for all these teams. I feel like every year we come into the year with one team that everyone's like, this team's so much worse than everybody else. They're going to be so terrible. And it usually doesn't work out that way. I think back to the Cardinals 2 years ago, they ended up, I think, having a winning record against the spread. The Panthers last year got hot at the end of the year. I think that team this year is the Saints. Everyone's just saying, oh, this team could go winless. They're going to be so terrible. I just think being a 6.5 point underdog at home to a team that really has been pretty middling the last few years too is a little high to me. So the Saints are another home underdog I like that I think no one will want any part of.
You're taking a team there that has the longest winning streak in the NFL in season openers. Another useful fact. 6 straight wins on season openers for the New Orleans Saints.
You were coming with some Tony Curry useless facts, and those aren't babies.
I wrote down like 10 of them for you, but I will say this: is a lot of people, and I wish this was Sunday morning, maybe that we're doing this, because Buffalo, and I don't remember the names, their 2 starting corners have both been out with growing injuries, and they're talking about one of them's probably not going to play, the other one's going to be 50-50 at best. And I know Baltimore's probably not the team that's going to take advantage of that. But they could. I think Lamar Jackson is a much better passer than people give him credit for. And I mean, I absolutely love Baltimore in this spot.
I agree with you. And kudos to their play callers and their coaching staff, because normally when you bring in, you think anytime you bring in a Derrick Henry, oh, that's going to be great. You're bringing in a guy that obviously is going to be rushing for 2,000 yards and blah, 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 blah. We know where the running back now is in the National Football League. Easily could have changed the mojo of that football team. Obviously, they've been winning with Lamar Jackson for a long period of time, and now it appears that he may be that piece that can put them over the top. Of course, he just signed a long-year deal with them, so I hate it for the Tennessee Titans because I know how much they loved Henry up there, and I know how much he loved that town of Nashville. But he looks like he wants to win a Super Bowl bad, and he came out the other day. He's like, I'm in Baltimore because I want to win a Super Bowl, and I think they're probably going to get it done. Hey, before we move on to some plays, I know Kai's got some pinpoint plays. I got 3 as well in the National Football League. Raiders, Patriots. The Patriots giving up some 2.5, 3 points. You're their beat writer for the Raiders. What can we expect from the Las Vegas Raiders this year? I know that the sky's the limit. This is probably not what you, and I'm assuming you wanted to put a Super Bowl contender on by the time you get the stadium done. But just talk about that a little bit, what you see as an inside guy with your team.
Well, hopefully you were listening Tuesday because I said I like the Raiders +3 and over 42. It's now 44 and Patriots -2.5 across the board. So if you bet either of those, it's aged well. I think the Raiders are going to be much better this year, and I've kind of done a 180 on this too because I still long-term don't like a lot of their offseason moves. I don't think they made all great decisions, but I think it's pretty clear that Pete Carroll still knows what he's doing. You come in just watching practices and being around that there's a really good vibe. I think they have a better roster than people realize because of what a disaster last year was. And they were another team that was super banged up last year. They basically lost their whole defense. So defensively, they have some holes. They let a lot of guys walk, including a lot of guys to the Patriots. The Patriots signed 3 Raiders defensive starters from last year, including Robert Spillane, who's been their leading tackler the last couple years. But they come into the season pretty healthy, and this is another one where I think secondary injuries loom large. Christian Gonzalez, who the Raiders probably should have drafted a couple years ago, the Patriots got him instead. He's been dynamite when he's been on the field. He hasn't practiced this week. It looks like he's probably not going to play. I think that's a big miss for the Patriots not to have him on the field. I know Christian Barmore even wasn't practicing a few times this week, but I saw it was not injury related, so he should be out there. But the Patriots definitely have more injury concerns, and I think we forget, as bad as the Raiders were last year, the Patriots were even worse. These teams are in similar situations, bringing in a new coach, turning over a lot of the roster. But I don't know. I slightly think the Raiders personnel is a little bit better, and like I said, healthier. Of course, it's tough having to go all the way over there, but I still think as an underdog, I would have to lean towards the Raiders here. But hopefully you listen to what we said Tuesday, because both those, I think without Gonzalez, there's more value on the over, and the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to be formidable this year, and I think they get off to a good start. We'll see if it turns into a win. I could see this going either way, but I would take points either way, and the Raiders are the team getting the points right now.
K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com, at K4Winners on X, as well as our emails. You can also go to info@TonyCurryRadio.com, TonyCurryRadio, should I say, .com. You can check us out, email us for whatever you got. We'll get some Major League Baseball because we know some people are still playing those games. We got about 20 to 22, 23 games left to play. I'm starting to sweat out my over-under on the Cincinnati Reds. Those son of a bitches. I had the over 7, 8.5, and it was just trending that way. And all of a sudden, they can't win to save their lives. Now I have to go 9-13 the last 22 to get that win for a nickel. We'll see what happens. We'll get into some Major League Baseball. Give me a couple plays on the National Football League, Kai, right off the bat. And of course, you go to K4Wins.com, get all of our plays throughout the weekend, and we update the site numerous times during the day. But give me some plays for Sunday or Saturday or Monday or tonight.
Clear. I hate this, and a lot of people don't like this. I have to go against my Titans, even though the points are going where they are. I really like Denver at home in this situation. 9 points is a ton. I get it, but I'm either going to lay it or I'm not going to play it. It is the only thing that I'm going to do, and I don't think it's by far anywhere near my strongest thoughts. But we haven't talked about it, so I'll put that out there. I love Baltimore. If Baltimore doesn't turn the ball over, I think they beat Buffalo. Just period. I mean that's or catch a 2-point conversion last year and you beat them. Either way. And I am very high right now, and I don't know why. I would do the money line, but I think Green Bay beats Detroit. I really do. It's just another feel. I don't have anything out there that I'm playing right now outside of Baltimore. I will probably play the under tonight, actually.
Gender, actually, tonight. All right. with a smile on his face and a little nod there. I'm going to leave it alone, but for sake of just playing something, this is one of those games where I hate to bet against my Bengals. But just from a trend standpoint, there's no reason why I wouldn't take the Browns. If I could get them at 6, I'd love it. If at 5.5, 5, I'll just leave it alone. I just have a feeling they do not play the Browns very well. And they do not play them well up there at Cleveland. I do like the Steelers minus the 2.5. If I can get it down to 2.5, I think that's enough that Aaron Rodgers just wants to eke out a victory. I think he's jived. There's a reason why he came back. He wants to play football, and I want to see him play football. And he's playing with a organization that has been very, very good for a long period of time. He doesn't have to bullshit with his head coach. He can go out there and do his thing. Coach. Yeah, he can go out there and do whatever he wants. He can check off plays, blah, 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 blah. And he's still got the wheels. I'm not saying he's going to be getting any third and longs designated to him, but I still think that he could probably pull up a 17-21 for 200 yards and get a victory there against the Jets. And then I'm going to go with the Buccaneers only because I'm a Baker Mayfield guy. I thought the Cleveland Browns screwed up with Baker Mayfield. I think that he was bigger than their program. He was getting more endorsements than any other player up there. The dog pound loved him. He was just that blue-collar, fun, smart-ass kind of guy from Oklahoma that everyone loved to cheer on. And he's finally found a home with the Buccaneers, and I think that he can be a winner there. So I'm going to go ahead and take Baker Mayfield playing the quarterback only minus 1.5 for the Buccaneers coming up on Sunday as well. All right. Major League Baseball, man, the Reds have fallen out of place. They're not even the next team in line now to get to the wild card. That would be the San Francisco Giants. But the Texas Rangers still only a game and a half out. But as of right now, nothing's really changed in Major League Baseball over the last several weeks. Same kind of thing, Kai?
I'll tell you what, in the National League West, nobody wants to win.
No.
I mean, the Dodgers are 5-5, their last 10. The Padres are 2-8, but then you got the Giants who've won 4 in a row and are not, 9 out of 10. It's kind of crazy the way some of these things are going. And then the American League East, the Tampa Bay's won 7 in a row and 8 of their last 10. And unfortunately, while my Red Sox have gone 7-3 and Toronto's 5-5, the damn Yankees are 8-2. There's a lot of great baseball to be played in September. The one thing that people don't realize is because college football and NFL have started is people don't pay as much attention to baseball now. And in my opinion, until the playoffs, this is the best baseball we're going to get because you're getting ready for the playoffs.
I agree with you, and it sucks if you're a Tampa Bay fan because you win 7 in a row, and like if you could have done that back in April, we could have given us some hopes, give us something to look at. You see a lot of that. Obviously, for the Yankees, it was important that they go 8-2 the last because they kind of went through that doldrums there at the All-Star break. The Red Sox are certainly in play as well. The Detroit Tigers and the Houston Astros are always in play. It seems like 13 games over 500. But yeah, it's when I guess they're playing for next season because by now you either know your team's going to make it or they're not, and if they end up winning 6-7 games in a row and you're a diehard fan, I guess you still want to go to the ballpark and see a winner chicken dinner. But it really doesn't matter at this point when you're 50 and 89 and you're not going to be going anywhere in the postseason. So interesting stuff. All right,
we are 10-4 since the podcast on Tuesday, and year to date 743, 391, and 11, 65.5%.
Really looking forward to since we've got a guy who knows the NFL better than anyone in case. Really looking forward to what kind of numbers we can put up in the National Football League this year. I feel like we know more information about the NFL than we've ever known. We're going to be spotting the ball differently. We had new coaches all over the league. I mean, it's just a very fresh and exciting time for the National Football League. And then again, you got Patrick Mahomes, who are going for their 10th AFC West Division crown. Isn't that wild? 10th in a row. It's incredible. I mean, it really is. When in a league where you can go from 4-12 one year, like the Rams, and go to 12-4 and win a Super Bowl, you have a team that's got a chance to actually go to 10 straight AFC West titles. It's crazy. Yeah, it's going to be fun. All right, guys, great stuff. K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Thank you so much for your time. We'll be back again on Tuesday to break down the rest of the games. We're on every single Tuesday and Friday. Going to add another show coming up here shortly, but 10 o'clock Central Time is the time. And Kip Keeper, take care of your old man out there in Las Vegas. I hope you guys have a wonderful time, and happy birthday to your son.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I think now he sent us over 6 plays. I don't know if we read them out, but I think it was a running gag last year that I disagreed with everything he sent. I looked at his 6 college football plays. I think I bet every single game, and we were a straight 3-3. I agreed with him on 3 and disagreed on 3. I will say Kai also gave out UNLV. I played UNLV money line in that game too. He gave out Kansas plus 5.5. I hope he's right. I'm a Kansas grad. Love to see the rivalry back, but I actually bet Mizzou there. I think Kansas's defense is too young. I think Pribula, I'm actually somewhat high on. Don't tell Kip because he hates him for some reason, but I kind of feel like Mizzou gets it done there. He gave out Mississippi State plus 5.5. Terrible number at 5.5. I wouldn't like it, but I like Mississippi State at 7. South Florida plus 17.5. He also gave out. I'm opposite on that game. I laid 17 with the Gators. So just wanted to shout out Kip and give out his plays really quick.
Have yourself a wonderful time and take care of yourselves. We appreciate you, and have yourself a wonderful weekend. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.